new members on the choir. All right, so I want to thank people who helped out in this ministry this week. Marion Wyatt, she was a great help. She came and answered phones while Rosemary was out. And she has been taking our coins that people have been putting in the coin boxes and taking them to CPS and getting them all rolled up for us, so we appreciate her. Thanks, our Board of Trustees obviously has spent many hours, so we really appreciate all of that. And the new board members have really escalated on the learning curve of being a board member very quickly, so we appreciate that. Thomas T. showed a fabulous movie yesterday, and anybody that's having a healing challenge, I would certainly say to find out what that movie was. It was excellent. It's about shamans and healing luminaries and how people don't have to go through sometimes what they're going through if you can kind of clear that at a different spiritual level. Pat put in double time this week, and not only with counting our money, but getting out an extra letter that is going to everybody that was time consuming. I thank everybody for the 20-some volunteer coordinators who showed up on Friday for our meeting. Angela Love is doing a beautiful job. Really appreciate her and everybody coming and taking time. We're officially at that challenging part of ministry, which is that transitional stage ministry. We have 146 members, and so we are really counting on our leaders and doing some special trainings for them all through this year. So we really appreciate their volunteerism. And let's see here. My announcements are, we are going to do a new member Sunday towards the end of August. We want to accommodate somebody who wants to be a chaplain and is not a member yet. And I'll be doing a prayer review class, the one that we canceled in July because people couldn't make it, that fourth Saturday, I believe it is, but it'll be in the newsletter this week. So it'll accommodate people that work. So you ready for a joke? Yeah. All right then. So this woman, she had to go inside to a pharmacy. She went in really quick. Her daughter was sick. She went in to get medication. She got back to her car and she locked her keys in her car. Oh, anybody ever done that? Oh, you know that feeling? Oh my gosh. So she found an old rusty coat hanger, but she didn't really know how to do it. So she bows her head and she says, "Oh God, please send me somebody." And within 5 minutes, an old beat-up motorcycle guy came up. He had a beard. He was wearing a skull cap and rag. He got off his cycle and he said, "Hey, can I help you?" And she said, "Yeah, my daughter's sick. I got to get this medication home. I locked my keys in my car. Can you help me?" He said, "Sure." So he walked over to the car. In less than a minute, the car was open. She hugged the man through tears and she said, "Oh, thank you, God, for sending me such a nice man." The man heard her little prayer. He said, "Well, I'm not a nice man. I just got out of prison yesterday. I was in prison for car theft." The woman hugged the man again and said, "Oh, thank you, God. You even sent me a professional." So this week, we're still studying the power of understanding. And so today the topic is understanding and celebrating service. And you know, I always like looking up words, and I looked up the origin of the word in the dictionary. It said, well, it's Latin origin, it's servus, U-S, so I looked that up. Now I've looked up hundreds of words, and this is the first time I've ever looked up that word in the appendix, and it said, origin unknown. I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. It's a 1971 American Heritage Dictionary, and I thought, oh, I wonder why they kind of skipped that. It felt like there was some kind of hidden thing there. But of course, Wikipedia always comes through. And what Wikipedia says is that the Germans used it as a greeting. It was a greeting used for commoners greeting the Lord. Servus millimus, your most humble servant, my noble Lord. Currently today, there's no subservient meaning to the word. And in the countries of Croatia and Romania, it's also meant hello and goodbye. And from the Proto-Indo-European, it means to bind together. So we have many different meanings of service. You know, when someone says in this country, in our culture, that they're in the service, we automatically take it to mean they're in the military service. And we're so proud of those people who are willing to defend all the freedoms. And I don't know how many of you got to read this book that we gave you last week. If you weren't here and you didn't pick one up, there's more on the table back there. But one of the end stories in here is about a soldier. And he's complaining it's winter, and he has to do a task that's much larger than he wanted it to be. And so the chaplain, Tom Shepard, who wrote the article, kind of reframed it for him, so he had a different attitude and energy about it. And it's all about attitude and energy, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, those who perform the service of cleaning our church, who are on the Brother Lawrence team, they're very humble. We have people in here that have been doing it for 6 or 7 years. They just do it once a week, not just, but everybody that's on the schedule is, except for Pat Bennett, is scheduled just once a month. Brother Lawrence, if any of you don't know, was a monk who really realized that he was as close to God washing pots as he was in the chaplain when he was praying or when he was chanting with his monks. Yeah. So today we're going to look at the verb service. When we serve anywhere in our community, in the world, in this church, I always say, pick an area that you're passionate about, because if you're not passionate about it and you're going to dread it, it's all about the energy and the attitude. You're not going to like it. All right. So at times, folks that are new to Unity say, hey, I want to get the spiritual stuff. I know people have it here and they've been to Unity for 30, 40 years, but I want to get where they are. And I say, well, be of service. Because service changes people, doesn't it? And it refines us, it purifies us. For people who do community service, they kind of make their error on the community or on society by doing some community service. It helps them forgive themselves. And it's the very act of considering someone else's needs above our own. So we always see great relationships, marriages that have worked for a long time, people always saying, what can I get you? How can I help you? What can I do for you? Being very supportive, being of service. So service really helps us define and prioritize our worth and our activities. And of course, there's lots of research that shows that when parents are in service and of service, those kids are trained to be like that, so they are naturally of service. So like today and every third Sunday that we do collection for the community, if you've taken the time to go through your closet and taken out a few things that you can realize you don't really need all those things, like I do almost every month. And people in the Haven use them. Maybe you've taken the time to get extra groceries for the food bank, or writing out a check, or bringing in paper goods for the Ocala Forest people. Everybody who has help with that, all the beneficiaries in our community really appreciate that. Really, they do. So when we share our time and our talents and our treasure like that, we're really being of that Christ nature. And although the beneficiaries seemingly are out there in our community, we're the beneficiaries, aren't we? Because doesn't it feel good to give, and it feels joyful and happy, and people are less depressed, and they live longer lives, those who volunteer on a regular basis. So Christ-like service is expressed by this prayer of St. Ignatius Loyola: to give and to not count the cost, to fight and to not keep the wounds, to labor and not ask for any reward. This is when we do God's will. So service helps us generate love and appreciation and compassion. We're putting our divine energy out there. We're putting ourselves out there. So have you ever had the feeling like sometimes you maybe were going to go to a community meeting and you thought, oh gosh, I'm so tired, I want to skip that meeting. But then you pushed yourself and you went, and then you came home and you had like so much energy. Anybody ever had that happen to them? Yeah. And that's because we share energies out there. And we're sharing everything, all the circumstances of our lives and our hopes and our dreams. I remember we were picking up rocks, clearing a field for a church garden over at Unity Christ Church in Wilmington, North Carolina, about 20 years ago. And it was kind of a big area, and it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, so it was going to be like a couple hours. And I remember this grandmother was beside me, and we're picking up rocks, and we're not talking yet, really. And then she tells me her 16-year-old granddaughter has been murdered. You know, and so when you're in service, you know, she knew we were going to be together a couple hours. She knew she was going to have the time to tell me the whole story and not have to shorten the story. And so when we're in service, we get to know people at a deeper level. We get to know maybe the struggles, the hardships, sometimes like how did you survive that childhood? And then we have a better understanding. I remember one time in one of the classes, for the icebreaker, I said, well, everybody say something about a sibling. And about 3 of the 16 people that were there had siblings with polio. Now, if you have a sibling with polio, you're going to be entrained to be of service, aren't you? You know, because you're going to be helping that person along, and you know, you're not even going to think about it. So many people suffer from depression because they're isolated, and you can't feel isolated when you're in service. And when you're involved, you're evolving. Are you not? You could ask any of the board members. Yeah. And any of the volunteer coordinators, because it's, you know, you're around, everybody has certain ideas, and you're trying to mix them and blend them. And you are evolving because you're around people, at least in this church when you're volunteering, who have ideas and concepts that they want to share, and you have an open mind and they have an open mind, so all of a sudden you're thinking a little differently. You have a little bit of a different perception about some things than you might have had. And that's not to minimize deep depression. When you have deep depression, of course that takes therapy or shamanism and sometimes medications. So it's my sense that when we experience who we are with the absolute knowing that we are here to be that divine presence and to do greater things, that we set up for ourselves when we're involved and when we volunteer and we put our energy out there, we set up this energy field for ourselves, don't we? It's that same cycle. It's that give and take cycle. As you give, so shall you receive. You know, when you keep giving, the things that you think you need or you do need actually just come to you. Yeah. So whether it be you're giving a phone call or an email or a mail or prayer or listening time to somebody or money towards a child's operation. I know many of you support children monthly overseas that you've adopted so they have food and shelter and medical care. We're all in the flow. We just kind of keep that in the flow and being that connected. So how many of us have had the experience of being told by somebody else, God told me to help you? Has anybody had that experience? A couple times. And vice versa. Have you ever gone up to somebody and said, God told me to help you? Yeah, happens all the time, doesn't it? So we're in that easy flow of giving and receiving. You know, it's not a measured thing. It's just sort of like, as you give, so shall you receive. You don't think about it, you just do it. And was not the whole ministry of Jesus one of reaching out and helping and lifting up and blessing and loving and caring? Yes. Yes. And that's our charge. In Luke 22:27, Jesus declares, I am among you as she and he who serves. I always have to throw in the she and soon. Okay, you all know that. So, and somebody gave me this article. Many of the villagers volunteer. I think it's like 70% of villagers volunteer. And seniors themselves, they provide $75 million in labor hours. 75 million hours. And our church's operating expenses would be much greater if we did not have volunteers contributing. We'd have to pay for all those services. So I am very grateful to you. Thank you. So I have asked 2 people to come up here and briefly talk about service, and then a very short, it's about 4 or 5 minutes, moving YouTube. So Rick Hall is going to come up first, and then Annie Weston.
Good morning. Good morning. Reverend Marge asked me to speak on what service means to me. And to me, it makes me part. It makes me part of this organization. It makes me part owner. I get to take part ownership in it. Right? And there's so many opportunities available to serve here. It's just, there's a brochure over there, you can look it up, and there's something in there for everybody. And, in my case, in order for me to volunteer, it's an 80-mile round trip just to get here. Right? But I do it and I love it because I get so much back from it. And so I encourage anybody that's looking for some place to do their volunteer work, come on down.
Marge is going to die when she sees what I have in my hand. It's not all that, Marge. I just have some notes here. It was interesting because when Marge asked me to say something, I thought it was going to be a moment of truth. And so instead, here we are. Rick and I are part of the sermon, or the message, I should say. And I was starting out with my message saying we hear Reverend Marge speak about service every so often, frequently. And of course, here we end up today. That's actually the message, and I was so pleased to hear that. And giving and receiving are all definitely a part of that. Howard and I are very grateful to have been at the receiving end. This is a little difficult at first because you become used to giving, and then you're at the receiving end. You may have to ask people to help you out, and we've become accustomed to that now. And I just need, can you hear me? Okay, am I doing this right? Okay. Why are we so grateful? That's another part of this. Grateful, being very grateful for being recipients of your love and your care and your service. I'll try to make this real quick. Howard had cancer in his nose 3.5 years ago and high doses of radiation. Well, last November, December, he had to have a tooth extracted, and we had to go up to Mayo for a regular checkup. And when Howard said, "Oh, I need a tooth extracted," the doctor said, "Oh, you can't do that until you have hyperbaric oxygen treatments." And the reason for that is that wound would never heal if you did not have that. So then the doctor also said you had 20 before your surgery, 10 after, which is 30. So we told Marge about this, and Marge, together with Pat Bennett, created a calendar because it's not real easy. In fact, right now, Howard and I are not able to drive, but at that time, thinking of 30 treatments down to Leesburg for the wound center seemed like such an overwhelming job. Well, excuse me, Marge and Pat created this calendar, passed it around, and all these names here are the people who are here today, and also people from the Course in Miracles who volunteered. And it took by the time they get to our house, and Howard had 2 hours in the hyperbaric oxygen treatment, and back here, it took at least like a 4-hour commitment, 4 to 5 hours. And so we're so grateful for that. That ended, and then we finally had his extraction. We got back again up to Mayo for a checkup, and Howard has another extraction. So we say, he doesn't have to do that again, does he? Yes, he does. So it's another 20 treatments before the extraction, 10 afterwards. So he's had a total of 60. And I will tell you that everybody here has really helped. And we are so grateful that for your service, and this is very fitting for this to happen on this Sunday, because I actually had planned on saying thank you to everybody today, and then I got this little message from Marge, and I said, oh my gosh, that's what I'm planning on doing. So the next part of this is the fact that there is this list that we have here at Unity going around, and Karen Donovan is in charge of that. And Karen, the last 2 Sundays, has asked about signing up for this service, where your name is on this, and people can call you for trips to wherever. And we have taken advantage of that, and I want to say thanks to Karen. Karen almost says to me, when do you want me? When do you want me? I'll help you, I'll help you. You know, it's so good because you don't feel like you're really asking somebody. Everything is really volunteer. So this list, last week she said there were 150 people. It's all according to neighborhoods. And I just would like to, if you don't mind, Margaret, I'm gonna ask everybody who's helped us or who's on the list to stand up. Would you do that, please? Anybody that's on this list or has helped us? Yeah, I see that. Oh, that's tremendous. And I want you to know we are very, very grateful. We love you all.
Hey everybody, I'm Greg Benson. You know, I usually do pranks, but this video is going to be a little different. I teamed up with Break.com for Prank It Forward, a series of really positive videos for good causes. You know, for some people, just getting something to eat is a struggle. So we came up with an idea to pull a really big surprise on about 50 homeless people. We put a lot of work into this video, and it was an amazing experience. So I really hope that you like it enough to share the video, and please subscribe for more good stuff.
People just are really judgmental. Society needs to refocus their attitudes on America's homeless. My name's Richard and I've been homeless for about 15 months.
Homeless gets stereotyped in society as well. It tears you up mentally inside. They're not animals.
A good share of homeless people that are homeless because of circumstances, because of loss of employment, support.
You don't think you can ever regain your social status anymore. It's pretty degrading when you know you lived pretty comfortable and all of a sudden now you don't.
We tell them, you know, we're living in the shelter, and they're like, shh, don't say that. We're not different, we're human.
Every man wants a little bit of respect. Everyone wants some dignity.
My name's Jesse Broom, and I do a lot of things, but today I'm here as a chef. I really feel that it's important to be of service. I hope people are just thrilled by this really cool experience that they get to participate in. I'm excited that I get to put together this great menu. I'm excited that I get to cook with friends. I'm in.
The biggest challenge to convert the space into a restaurant was that it is a completely blank white room. There were chairs that existed that were green. So I said, well, let's run with the green theme and build up from there.
Five minutes, everybody. 5 minutes.
We've been working so hard today. We are so excited to get this party rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all ready? Come on, guys. Ryan.
They're calling the reservation names. This is amazing. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Cafe Essential. Thank you so much for joining us. Table for 3. Right this way, please. Okay. How lovely to see you two again. Right this way. Let me show you to your table. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you, please.
Very nice.
Oh, thank you so much. Glad you enjoy it. Pleasure.
realized it was going to be this fancy, I would have assumed.
You know, you look fantastic. You look fantastic. This makes me happy. I think it's going well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a beautiful filet mignon coming out. What's the verdict so far? Well, we have a really wonderful dessert coming up. So hang around. Good. Good. I hope everyone is enjoying your desserts and that everything was wonderful tonight. I want a round of applause for Jesse Bruin.
Thank you, guys.
We have some gift bags, so sit tight. We're going to go ahead and bring out some gift bags for you guys. Well, what do you think? Was it successful? We're pretty thrilled with the way this came out. And to create more wonderful dinners in the future, we wanted to present you with a check for $5,000 for Sensi.
Hey,
Absolutely. How did you like it tonight?
Is that like we never,
That's what it was.
never had it before?
Yeah.
We never get steak. Homeless people. Thank you.
You like that filet, huh? My first one was awesome. Yeah, it's your first one ever? Yeah.
We really don't get things all the time, and I never in my life got things like this, ever.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to check out some of these other great Prank It Forward videos, because for every 1,000 views these videos get, Break.com donates another $1 to DoSomething.org. So please share this video and click on these other ones to do some good by pranking it forward.
Yeah, Barbara Richards sent me that probably about 6-7 months ago. Luckily, I can remember who sent me it, and then I go into my sent file and I can find those things. All right, now is the time in our service when we get to contribute our tithe